here she comes. Here comes Vice President Kamala Harris in a light blue suit. We have to talk a little bit about the sartorial splendor here. She does wear a pantsuit. She does love a pantsuit. Here she comes, taking in the crowd. Let's listen and just actually take it in as well.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, thank you. Thank you all. Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody. Oh, it's good to be back in Georgia. Thank you, everyone. Can we please hear it for Tyler? I want to thank Tyler for that incredible introduction. I invited him and several other young entrepreneurs to come and visit with me at the White House. And we had a really very long and important conversation about the future of America. And Tyler, you represent the best of our future. Thank you for that. Thank you. And please give it up for Quavo. So it is so good to see everyone. And let me also thank our incredible members of Congress who are with us this evening. Senator John Ossoff, Senator Raphael Warnock, and Representative Nikema Williams, to Mayor Andre Dickens, thank you for welcoming me back to Atlanta. And thank you to the great Stacey Abrams for your extraordinary leadership. So, Georgia, it is so good to be back. And I am very clear. The path to the White House runs right through this state. And you all helped us win in 2020, and we're going to do it again in 2024. So let's get right down. So I'm gonna get into some business now. Okay, I'm gonna get into some business now. All right. So Georgia, as many of you know, before, and have a seat if you have a chair. As many of you know, before I was elected vice president, and before I was elected a United States Senator, I was an elected Attorney General and an elected District Attorney. And before that, I was a courtroom prosecutor. So in those roles, I took on perpetrators of all kinds. Predators who abused women. Fraudsters who ripped off consumers. Cheaters who broke the rules for their own gain. So hear me when I say, I know Donald Trump's type. For example, as Attorney General of California, I took on one of our country's largest for-profit colleges that was scamming students. Well, Donald Trump ran a for-profit college that scammed students. As a prosecutor, I specialized in child sexual abuse cases and sexual abuse cases. Well, Trump was found liable for committing sexual abuse. And as an attorney general, I held the big Wall Street banks accountable for fraud. Donald Trump was just found guilty of fraud. 34 counts. So in this campaign, I will proudly put my record against his any day of the week. Any day of the week. Including, for example, on the issue of immigration. So I was the Attorney General of a border state. In that job, I walked underground tunnels between the United States and Mexico on that border with law enforcement officers. I went after transnational gangs, drug cartels, and human traffickers that came into our country illegally. I prosecuted them in case after case, and I won. Donald Trump, on the other hand, has been talking a big game about securing our border, but he does not walk the walk. Or as my friend Quavo would say, he does not walk it like he talks it. Where's Quavo? So look, our administration worked on the most significant border security bill in decades. Some of the most conservative Republicans in Washington, D.C. supported the bill. Even the Border Patrol endorsed it. It was all set to pass. But at the last minute, Trump directed his allies in the Senate to vote it down. Right. He tanked the bipartisan deal because he thought it would help him win an election. Which goes to show Donald Trump does not care about border security. He only cares about himself. And when I am president, I will work to actually solve the problem. So here is my pledge to you. As president, I will bring back the border security bill that Donald Trump killed, and I will sign it into law and show Donald Trump what real leadership looks like. But make no mistake, this campaign is not just about us versus Donald Trump. Truly, this campaign is about two very different visions for our nation. One focused on the future, the other focused on the past. We believe in a future where every person has the opportunity to build a business, to own a home, to build intergenerational wealth, a future with affordable health care, affordable child care, paid leave. And all of this is to say Building up the middle class will be a defining goal of my presidency. Because we here all know, when our middle class is strong, America is strong. And to keep our middle class strong, families need relief from the high cost of living so that they have a chance not just to get by, but to get ahead. And yes, it is true that by many indicators, our economy is the strongest in the world. But while inflation is down and wages are up, prices are still too high. You know it and I know it. And when we win this election, here's what we're going to do about it. On day one, I will take on price gouging and bring down costs. We will ban more of those hidden fees and surprise late charges that banks and other companies use to pad their profits. We will take on corporate landlords and cap unfair rent increases. And we will take on Big Pharma to cap prescription drug costs for all Americans. Our plan will lower costs and save many middle-class families thousands of dollars a year. But Donald Trump has a different plan in mind, one that would raise prices on middle-class families. Just look at his Project 2025 agenda. I take it you've seen it. Project 2025 is a plan to weaken the middle class. Be clear. And Donald Trump intends to cut Social Security and Medicare. He intends to give tax breaks to billionaires and big corporations. He intends to gut our investments in clean energy jobs. He intends to end the Affordable Care Act, to take us back to a time when insurance companies had the power to deny people with pre-existing conditions. You guys remember what that was? Children with asthma, breast cancer survivors, grandparents with diabetes. Georgia, America has tried these failed policies before, and we are not going back. We're not going back. We're not going back. That's right. And we are not going back because ours is a fight for the future. And it is a fight for freedom. And we are witnessing a full-on assault on hard-fought, hard-won freedoms and rights. The freedom to vote. The freedom to be safe from gun violence. The freedom to live without fear of bigotry and hate. The freedom to love who you love openly and with pride. Freedom to learn and acknowledge our true and full history. And the freedom of a woman to make decisions about her own body and not have her government tell her what to do. Ours is a fight for the future and for freedom. And I don't have to tell folks in Atlanta that generations of Americans before us led the fight for freedom. And now, the baton is in our hands. Each and every one of us. And we love our country. We love our country. And I believe it is the highest form of patriotism to fight for the ideals of our country. And so, we who believe in the sacred freedom to vote will finally pass the Freedom to Vote Act and the John Lewis Voting Rights Advancement Act. We who believe in the freedom to live safe from gun violence will finally pass universal background checks, red flag laws, and an assault weapons ban. We who believe in reproductive freedom will stop Donald Trump's extreme abortion bans, and when Congress passes a law to restore reproductive freedoms, as President of the United States, I will sign it into law. So November 5th is in 98 days. In 98 days, and let's level set. Friends, let's level set. We have a fight in front of us. We have a fight in front of us, and we are the underdogs in this race. We are. But you see, this is a people-powered campaign. Ours is a people-powered campaign. In fact, after I announced my candidacy, we saw the best week of grassroots fundraising in presidential campaign history. And if you go to KamalaHarris.com, you can help us build on that success. So the momentum in this race is shifting. And there are signs that Donald Trump is feeling it. You may have noticed. So last week, you may have seen, he pulled out of the debate in September he had previously agreed to. So here's the thing. Here's the funny thing about that. So he won't debate, but he and his running mate sure seem to have a lot to say about me. And by the way, don't you find some of their stuff to just be plain weird? Well, Donald, you'll reconsider to meet me on the debate stage. Because as the saying goes, if you've got something to say, say it to my face. In the next 98 days, we have our work cut out for us. And this is not going to be easy. This is hard work, but we like hard work. Hard work is good work. So, Georgia, today I ask you, are you ready to get to work? Do we believe in freedom? Do we believe in opportunity? Do we believe in the promise of America? And are we ready to fight for it? And when we fight, we win. God bless you. God bless the United States.
Vice President Kamala Harris walking out to her walk-on song, Freedom, by, of course, the great Beyonce, who cleared that music for her. Quite a speech in Atlanta, Georgia, and I think she kind of enjoyed it. Let's go through a little bit of what she said. She opened right away, getting some love there. We'll just continue to watch that in the crowd while we kind of recap it just a little bit. Vice President Harris went right to her past roles as a prosecutor, saying she took on predators of all kinds, and then named several kinds of predators, for-profit colleges, said Trump's done that, sexual abusers, Trump's done that, big banks who were charged with fraud, and then she said Trump, of course, has been convicted of fraud, to which the crowd began to chant, "Lock him up." She said she'd proudly put her record against Donald Trump's any day of the week. Then she went right to immigration, one of the issues that is going to be difficult for Democrats to deal with, but she wasn't afraid of it, went right to it, talking about being an attorney general of a border state, talking about prosecuting those who violated the law, saying that Donald Trump talks a big game but does not walk the walk. And then she quoted Quavo, who was on stage 2 persons before her, saying that Donald Trump does not walk it like he talks it. A little cultural reference there for the crowd, got a big cheer for that. She then also talked about the border bill that Donald Trump blocked, saying that he does not care about immigration. He only cares about himself. She said she will bring back that border bill and she will sign it as president. Number 3, she then went to the differences between the Trump vision and the vision that she and her campaign are bringing, meaning that the one vision, the Trump vision, is focused on the past and the other is focused on the future. That's a big theme of this campaign. And then she went into some of the things that she believes people need to have the freedom to do, building intergenerational wealth, a big issue in Fulton County, Georgia, where that message, I think, resonates with a lot of younger voters, particularly young African-American men who have talked about, needing to hear more economic issues. She talked about bringing down the cost of living, standing up to corporate landlords who are unfairly raising rents. She talked about Trump's plan that would raise prices and make things less affordable than they are now. And then she closes with, "We are not going back." And then she goes into the war on freedom. She says the baton is in our hands, and it's the highest form of patriotism to fight for the ideals of our country. And then she landed with Donald Trump pulling out of that debate. She said, "Donald Trump doesn't want to debate her, but she sure has a lot to say about me," was her quote. And she said, "If you got something to say, Donald, say it to my face." Still with me here at the table, Alencia Johnson and Sarah Matthews. What did you think of what you heard, Alencia?
I mean, listen, that was the presidential speech. And the Kamala Harris that, I know, Joy, we were talking about this, that a lot of people saw when she was Attorney General, when she was in the Senate. But her message is so clear. And this energy that she's getting is showing her confidence on stage, right? She's not lying. She's going through Donald Trump's rap sheet, which are all facts, and then going through this vision of America, which she literally represents what Project 2025 was designed to not exist in this country. The woman of color, daughter of immigrants, about to be president of the United States. The other thing I want to talk about, we've been talking about this cultural moment that we're having, and I know Republicans are probably going to brush it off as celebrities just endorsing.
They did that with Obama, too.
They did, but Quavo has been in D.C. multiple times with the White House and their Office of Gun Violence Prevention, because that's an issue near and dear to his heart. Meg Thee Stallion has been a huge proponent of climate change, abortion rights, so many issues. And so you see these people who have huge platforms when it comes to their artistry now realizing that their voice on issues that matter to them as humans can actually be represented. And I think we're going to continue to see even more of that. I mean, Beyonce greenlit Freedom because she wrote a song about this moment. And it means a lot that she greenlit this for Vice President.
And I'll mention with Meg Thee Stallion, Megan, you know, she has already interacted with the Vice President on some of these issues. So some of these are, you know, the Vice President taking advantage of existing relationships in the culture. She didn't have to like book them and hope that they would show up. These are people who already were in the world in which she's been operating. It's just that we in the media have not covered her enough for people to understand some of the things that she's been doing. And so now that people are sort of discovering her anew, they're discovering all these relationships she brings with her. I will say she sounds a lot like State of the Black Union Kamala Harris from 2006. So she hasn't changed, but it's just that her renewed confidence and her renewed self-confidence is just showing. She seems to really be enjoying it. Sarah, I wanted to go to you on something I thought was really interesting, that she went right to immigration. That second thing, making that really high up in the speech and promising to sign what really is a pretty conservative immigration bill. So she's kind of also showing that she's willing to tack to the center on something that has been an issue that Republicans want to lean on.
Yeah, that's correct. I think that she knows that immigration is a weak point for Democrats. And look, I was disappointed in that first presidential debate between Biden and Trump because when
so was Joe Biden, by the way.
So was Joe Biden. You're exactly correct. But when that topic came up, Joe Biden didn't mention this. He did not mention that Trump helped kill this bipartisan border deal that would have been the most funding for the border in decades. And so it was really smart of her to bring that up right at the top of the speech. The Trump campaign has been trying to kind of define her as she was the border czar and in charge of this issue during the Biden administration. What she was actually tasked with was helping with the root causes of migration. She wasn't necessarily in charge of the whole border, but they are trying to make her attached to that issue because it is a weaker spot for Joe Biden. And so I think that it's smart that she's saying, hey, I'm going to sign that bill. If I'm president and it comes across my desk, I will sign that into law. And as you mentioned, it's a pretty conservative piece of legislation.
And by the way, on that, what she was actually doing, one of the countries that she dealt with was Guatemala. And actually the compact that she was able to sign reduced the number of people coming from Guatemala and some other of the countries that she was dealing directly with. So I think that they think that they're going to have a stronger play against her on that than they really will, because her actual record is that she helped to reduce the number of people coming across the border. I
was actually going to add to this immigration conversation. There are those pieces, and we also have to talk about under President Trump, his policies in Central America actually exacerbated the migrant issue, right? It exacerbated the poverty, the crime, that people are leaving their homes. Nobody actually wants to leave their home, but it was his sanctions and his policies that actually got us into this crisis. And now he's telling the people who are actually acting as the firefighters that they can't put out the fire that they started.
And
that the Trump administration started.
Come back to you, Sarah, on this, and we have about a minute left. The issue that I think has been animating Democratic victories in the midterms, the last midterm, was huge for Democrats. No red wave, didn't happen. Abortion was the issue. It's just different having a woman make that case. And I think the challenge for the Trump campaign is that you now have a woman who also, as a prosecutor, dealt with things like sexual predation and prosecuting sexual predators, while they're saying women who are victims of sexual predators should give birth. It is a really tight spot for the Trump team.
I think it's been really smart of her to lean into her background as a prosecutor. It was something she kind of shied away from during the 2019 primaries.
Because young voters didn't seem to love it, but now they love it.
But now I think they love it because they see that the opposing ticket is a convicted felon. And so what is a stronger contrast than that, having a prosecutor take on this convicted felon? And as you mentioned on the abortion message, she really is the best messenger for the Democratic Party on this issue. I think as she's been out there on the stump the last couple of years talking about this issue, we've seen her grow in her confidence. She's gotten so much stronger and more comfortable on stage. If I'm the Trump campaign watching this rally tonight, I'm shaking in my boots because